Hey, what's up, guys? I'm back playing Minecraft and reading Reddit stories for you guys. Today, I'll just be exploring around, and so yeah, let's get into the first story. Alright, this one's called Am I the Bum for Starting a Civil War at the Workplace? Okay, so they say, I work at Target as an early morning restocker. Me and the unload team come in early in the morning, and first thing we do is unload the truck full of merchandise. That involves standing at a conveyor belt type line and grabbing our assigned boxes and sorting them into our assigned pallets and flats. We recently hired a new guy who we'll just call Michael. He's well liked among some people here because he makes them laugh and talks in funny voices. It's actually pretty immature since he's in his 30s, but people like it for whatever reason. I'm of the opinion that there's a time and place for goofing off and making people laugh, and work isn't one of them. Anyway, he works the line and it's constantly getting backed up and congested because he's just standing around, socializing, and talking in his little annoying voices. There was even one time when the line got backed up because he was standing around and trying to hit the high note on Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You. A bunch of boxes fell off the line because it got backed up, and our boss started yelling at us because Michael is a lazy jackoff. Last week it was more of the same. The line was completely congested because Michael wasn't working, and he was more focused on trying to do his Pee Wee Herman impression. I tried pushing the line, but he gave me a dirty look and yelled at me that the line was stalled. I yelled back at him, maybe the line wouldn't be stalled if you weren't standing around making your stupid noises. Some girls nearby gasped, as if that was the worst possible thing that I could have said to him. He yelled at me to not talk back to someone who's older than him, and I responded that I'll yell at anybody not doing work regardless of age. Me and him kept shouting at one another, and other employees had to break us apart. We eventually both got pulled into the boss's office and got a lecture, but thankfully I didn't get fired. Unfortunately, Michael didn't either. That was last week, and the store's in complete disarray because of the incident with me and Michael. Some employees have come to me and said that I did the right thing by calling him out, but others apparently think that I'm the asshole. One girl even walked up to me and told me that Michael is a nice guy and that I, quote, don't know how to have fun. There have been two physical fights about the whole thing. One guy went up to Michael and called him an annoying sack of shit, and one of Michael's friends got pissed and a fight broke out. They both got fired, and the day after that, practically the same thing happened. Former friends are being put against one another because they disagree on whether or not Michael is annoying and lazy. And our boss has even held a team meeting to discuss tensions and warn us against furthering this conflict. What do you make of all of this? I mean, I understand, you shouldn't be goofing off. Obviously, there has to be some laugh, otherwise it's just gonna be really boring. But I get where you're coming from, and it seems like he's kind of holding up the line. So I'd say you're in the right. But the physical fights, yo, I don't know about that one, man. All right, let's go to the update here. Regarding the first post, the consensus was that I was not the asshole and that I did nothing wrong, at least in terms of everyone at work taking sides and fighting over the whole me versus Michael incident. But things completely blew up today at work, and multiple people were fired as a result. This is about to get heated. Things started yesterday when someone broke into Michael's locker and poured a whole bulk bottle of hand sanitizer in his backpack. His backpack contained stuff like spare clothes and even his wallet, and apparently they were all ruined. Nobody knows who did it, but before we started the unload on the truck today, our team lead held a meeting, and he said that he's going to start firing people who continue to escalate the situation. One idiot spoke up and said, "Go ahead and try. You don't have the power to fire us." And guess what? He got fired on the spot. Loki kind of deserves that. But, alright. The team lead made him turn in his badge and discount card right there in front of us, and he sent him out. Tensions were already high to start the day, and our team lead was in a bad enough mood as it was, but the unload was when things got ugly. During the unload, the line got stalled again, and take a wild guess at whose fault it was. Michael. His part of the line stopped everything from moving, and that was because he was playing on his phone and trying to look up a song. I would have thought that he learned from the last time, but apparently not. I honestly think that he was maybe trying to bait me into yelling at him again, so I held my tongue. The line started moving again, but then it gets stopped because Michael starts talking to a girl and talking like Donald Duck. I snapped again and I yelled, "Michael, knock it off." Michael didn't say anything, but the girl that he was talking to got up in my face and yelled at me to leave Michael alone and stop singling him out. But before I could even respond to her, one of Michael's friends chucks a box at me, but it accidentally hits the girl that was yelling at me. She fell to the ground crying, and Michael's friend kept apologizing, but the girl's friend jumped him and started slapping him. He shoved her to the ground, and a whole bunch of people were stepping in and trying to break them apart. Right when it looked like things were starting to calm down, Michael says none of this would have happened if certain people knew how to keep their mouths shut. That jab at me really got me, and I shoved him back into a pallet. A whole mountain of boxes came crashing down on him, and that's when one of his other friends jumped me, pulled me to the ground, and started punching me. I tried to fight back, but he was pulled off, and I saw that our team lead was prying a whole bunch of people off of one another. The team lead yelled, "All of you out!" and he started yelling about how he's sick of this job and how he hates babysitting us. At least 5 people, including me, were fired today, and on top of that, the team lead quit on the spot. And get this, I end up getting a call from the store manager, and she tells me the entire flow team is in complete chaos, and we don't have enough people to unload this morning's truck that we never finished, and she blames me. She tells me not to come to the store ever again, and that she might press charges for being disruptive and violent. This is straight out of some sort of cartoon, bro. This is that was a funny story. Obviously, I mean, being fired is not a good thing, but like yeah, and also one of the comments here says that it's funny that the team lead quits on the spot, but only after firing everyone, which is kind of funny, you know. But yeah, that now I kind of want to work at Target. If this happens at every Target, bro, sign me up. Sounds funny. All right, let's go to the next story here. Okay, so this one's called "My Employees Passing Off ChatGPT Lists as His Own Ideas." I mean, I can understand doing that in school, but in work, bro? I'm an experienced designer and I lead but don't directly manage teams of young engineers. Dan, who has 2 years of experience, has recently been assigned to our team and sat in a meeting while other members were sharing and testing results of new ways to automatically perform X, which is a new feature. Towards the end of the meeting, Dan said, "But I have all of these ideas that you haven't considered. I really think these could solve the problem." Of course, I encouraged Dan to share the new ideas, but he said he would send them to me after the meeting. I felt bad that he had done all of this work and I had not included him earlier in the meeting. I have had to mentor Dan in the past, and he was resistant to documenting his work or listening to feedback, and I thought that was clouding my judgment of him. My impression is that he actively tries to minimize his role to get out of work and says bizarrely out of touch things related to social norms. After the meeting, he sent me a screenshot of a ChatGPT list. I was shocked and dumbfounded. He gave the impression that he did all of his work, but he just created the whole list while in the meeting. Furthermore, when I asked him what some of the terms meant on this list, he said he didn't know. AI is a great tool to conduct preliminary research, but then I expect people will further investigate and vet some of these ideas. This is similar to writing a research paper with Wikipedia. Engineers generate ideas from the web, other products, personal experience, and then put ideas in a table and rank for their advantages, disadvantages, cost, performance, etc. Anyone can have an idea, it's the feasibility of the design that makes it a good one. For Dan, instead of addressing it head on, I asked him to build the appropriate table and give guidance on how to present his ideas better. However, I never addressed how he presented the ideas as his own because I was so flabbergasted. As we integrate ChatGPT more into our web searches, I can see this happening more and more. I was wondering how to approach this in the future. When people put their hands up in meetings, do I ask for their sources first? Maybe like a source, but not like, like you don't have to go in like a full MLA format, from school, but like, just like a general idea. But I mean, ChatGPT in work, bro, I mean, like, if it can like start an idea, I feel like, but you have to do further research, like the author was saying, so I don't know. Let's see what the update says here. Okay, so this is a year later. Last year, I wrote about a junior engineer who was presenting ChatGPT lists as his own results without understanding the results. Not surprisingly, the engineer tried doing this again and again. I took your advice to heart, and the next time it happened, I scheduled a meeting with Dan and explained how he could use ChatGPT results to start his investigation into the answer. but I expected recommendations to be his work. He was not too responsive because this would mean more work, which reinforces your point about being a personal problem and not a technology problem. Then, my older boss came in to me saying how great this employee was and how he had just some many great ideas for his other project. I asked him if this was just a ChatGPT list and I was asked to investigate. Not surprisingly, after Dan reviewed his ChatGPT list, these ideas were completely out of scope for the project and he wasted a good 2 weeks exploring them. I no longer had the time or energy to fight Dan's laziness. He was not my direct report, and his manager didn't see an issue. This was just the tip of the iceberg of problems at this company, and I had been looking for a new and more challenging engineering research environment. After 9 months of interviewing, thank you for your advice, I landed a job at a big tech research company that blocks all forms of AI due to security concerns. After 6 months, I find most of the people here are overly motivated with big brains. I spend my time telling them to take breaks or think of the big picture, which is a nice change. It's a better cultural fit. Thanks for taking my letter and all the comments. It was helpful to put the problem into perspective. I see that you've had some related letters about ChatGPT, so it's going to be a tough technology to manage as it becomes more integrated into software platforms. For the record, in my personal life, I often have to write reference letters and promotional text, and ChatGPT is fantastic. Super fan. I did not use it for this letter. I don't know, Dan. Yeah, Dan's just lazy. I mean, I get that too. I don't tell anyone, but I use AI as well for assignments. But I feel like work is different, and it shouldn't be doing most of your work. Like I still do a lot of the work. I actually don't use AI that much, but I don't know. Interesting. In work is crazy though. Did not expect that. All right, on to the next story here. Am I the bum for proving to my boyfriend that the nerds in high school never cared about the popular kids? Interesting title. Let's see where this one goes. Alright, my boyfriend and I, both 25, went to the same high school. My boyfriend was talking about our high school days. He thought high school me would have been thrilled to date the popular guy because I was a quote nerd. Mind you, we're 25 and it's 2024. I played along for a bit until I realized he wasn't joking. He literally thought that. I told him that I didn't know he existed. He was surprised and said that he was a popular kid. He played football and was in the popular crowd. He said that I must have been lying. I told him that the nerds never cared about the popular kids in high school because we were fiercely competing amongst ourselves for college admissions. For a backstory on our town, my boyfriend was born and raised there, but I only moved there when I was 13 along with a bunch of other high achieving kids. That's because an engineering company opened up a branch near that town and brought in a ton of engineers and their families. So it was a sleepy town with a big high school that suddenly got a bunch of competitive kids. And I mean insanely competitive. Nobody had time to think about the popular kids or really anything but college admissions. I was only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, regularly. Sports like football or cheerleading, which required 5 days a week of training at school, were out of the question. And I saw the same people regularly because we were all in the same classes. So all of that drama was contained between that group of 50 to 100 or so students. It paid off for me. I got into a top college and had no student loans. It was literally cheaper than the state school. And despite my auto-generated username, I have a good job that I enjoy. My boyfriend said I'm lying. I don't like being called a liar. So I literally reached out to all my high school, quote, nerd friends. And yep, they didn't know the popular group and the ins and outs of the dynamics like my boyfriend thought. A few people recognized some names, but like I said, we were really focused on competing with each other. He got really quiet when I proved my case. He said I humiliated him and I proved my point and we should never mention high school again. I talked with his sister and she said that high school was a special experience for him and I ruined his memories. Am I the bum? I don't know what his sister was talking about, like special experience and ruined his memories. I don't see how that would ruin his memories, but I feel like yeah, you like went a bit far, but I would say that's fine. It could be funny, I guess. I don't know. It's not. I feel like it's not that big of a deal, but let's see what the update says. I know my boyfriend isn't a loser still stuck in his glory days in high school, so I talked to him and asked him why he was upset at me not knowing him in high school. Well, he told me that he did have a passing hallway crush on me, mustache, eye bags, and all of which was flattering to hear. He felt defensive because I kind of stomped all over his daydreams of fleeting thoughts of each other. He also literally thought I was lying because he knew of me, and he thought wrongly that I would know of him. I hate being called a liar, which made me go on my warpath. Don't worry, I didn't tell my friends why I was asking about my boyfriend's friend group, but they'll probably figure it out. He apologized and we hugged it out. Honestly, these comments were really wild. People were salivating over my boyfriend being this apparent loser jock character. I wasn't making a statement about anything. My boyfriend and I just ran different social groups, neither better nor worse than the other. Well, maybe mine was slightly more toxic. We had different social experiences with good and bad points. I can't believe the number of stereotypes about nerds, which I never really considered myself, or popular kids in these comments. I was definitely not taking a social stance by not noticing the popular kids. They just weren't in my radar. I missed more days of school than my boyfriend for competitions for my clubs. As a boring person, I didn't have much drama, but I witnessed a lot. There were always parties and sneaking around. There was always this undercurrent of stress that dominated my school life. I don't regret high school and I'm grateful for the opportunities and experiences, but I don't want to go back. I'm no better or worse than my boyfriend because of the high school experience. We're all just people at the end of the day. So I guess it's a, wholesome ending. He just had a hallway crush on her and was sad that his dreams got stomped. So yeah, happy ending. It's always good to talk things out. So glad it worked out, and hopefully they're doing good now. All right, to the next story. All right, this one's called "Am I the Bum for Eating My Entire Baked Potato?" I have a feeling there's a lot more to this story than just eating a baked potato, so because that just doesn't make sense. I'm writing this after what I thought would be a nice dinner spiraled into a huge argument. For context, a few days ago, my fiance's parents invited us over for dinner. The planned meal was a steak with a baked potato and green beans. I have been with my fiance for 6 years, engaged for the last two, and for the first time ever, she saw me eat a baked potato, skin and all. She was a little confused but laughed it off and just said, "Just don't do that ever around my mom, haha." I never thought much of that, until today, that is. Dinner started off well, general chit chat about work and some discussion about football. I'm an Eagles fan and her mom likes the Broncos, so there's always some playful banter there. The food comes out, they say a little they say a little prayer and we start eating. Everything is fine until I start digging into the potato. Her father tilted his head a little and looked at her, but didn't say anything. The issue arose once her mother noticed and looked at me like I was the most disgusting and foul thing she'd ever seen. I didn't notice at first until she audibly made a gagging sound. Her mother then got up and ran straight to the bathroom. Both my fiance and her father went to check on her, and I was left sitting there confused as hell. A few moments later, her dad came back and politely asked me to leave. I asked if something was wrong, and he calmly explained that, as I've been told before, that his wife had some dietary issues, and part of that includes potato skins, and seeing me eat my entire baked potato made her nauseous. I apologized and left. About 10 minutes later, as I arrive to my apartment, I get a call from my fiance. I answer the phone and she immediately starts yelling at me and calling me an ass. I'm taken by surprise as I didn't expect her to be so upset about this. I try apologizing and she cuts me off saying I'm inconsiderate and rude. I start to get upset, but before I can say anything, she says, "Whatever, we'll talk about it in the morning." I tried calling her back and she sent me straight to voicemail. I've sent her multiple texts, but she has not read them. I'm really confused as to if I am the asshole. I don't really know. No, I don't think you're in the wrong because you didn't even know that. Like, she never officially told you that her mother had a problem, but I don't know why her mom would make that and then serve that, right? Because if she doesn't like when people, I don't know, kind of weird. But let's see what the update says. I'm kind of curious here. Update is from the next day. Okay, I know that maybe y'all weren't expecting an update, but here we are. To start off, for the handful of people saying this is fake, I don't know, man, I wish it was fake, but I really can't do much to change your minds. Second, saw a few people ask about the steak. It was amazing. That's good. Anyways, I did read a lot of comments last night before bed, and I did start contemplating calling off the engagement because everyone made good points about their behavior and handling of the situation. I decided to sleep on my thoughts, and this morning I woke up to a couple of texts from my fiance, her father, and her mother. Her mother actually apologized and asked me to call, so I did. When she answered, she sounded like death and proceeded to apologize again and explain that all day yesterday she'd felt a little bit off, but kept a brave face as she didn't want anyone to worry. Turns out she has the flu. She kept apologizing profusely and said she was indeed a little grossed out by seeing me eat the potato skin because she'd never seen anyone else do that. But she wasn't gonna yuck your yum had it not been for the sickness. Apparently, after running off, she did indeed throw up, but she also felt extremely weak and got the chills. It was bad, so she went straight to bed. She also told me that she talked to my fiance this morning and that there was a reason she lashed out at me so badly. Turns out I'm gonna be a father. Her mother explained that my fiance bought her a light breakfast and they sat talking about what had happened at dinner. During the conversation, my fiance apparently knocked over a teacup and became overly distressed and started to tear up. This prompted her mother to question if she could be pregnant. After a quick stop at the pharmacy and 4 tests later, she was right, which honestly does explain her moods being different this past week. My fiance's texts were an apology and a picture of the 4 positive tests. I did call her as well, and we discussed how she lashed out at me. She apologized multiple times and even started crying about how she doesn't want to ruin 6 years. Her father apologized for asking me to leave, and said he only did so because my fiance seemed so upset, and he thought it was best to give us room before anything harmful could be said. I'm still processing all of this roller coaster, but yeah, her mother doesn't see me as a disgusting creature. Everyone apologized and things seem fine now. Although now I am worried I might get sick because her mother let me try a sip from her wine glass last night. Sorry if this wasn't the end you were hoping for, but I'm glad things weren't as bad as I thought. So that's good, I guess. I mean, it all got resolved, everyone apologized. Wasn't really that big of a deal. Kind of weird that the mom served the potato with the skin, but it's whatever. So yeah, things ended up fine. So yeah, that's good. I guess he's a father now. So, all right, next story. This one is called "Guy I'm Seeing Legitimately Thinks Santa Claus is Real." I don't even know what to say after that title, but let's start reading. I think he actually believes Santa is a real person in some capacity and thinks he delivers presents to his family personally. I'm probably going to leave tomorrow because it's been an awful night so far and I just want out. I'll call him Adam, fake name. Adam is from a pretty rural area in the mountains, and his family are what I'd consider religious extremists. He told me this before I came to see them for Christmas, and that they were very religious, as are mine, so I thought it would be very similar. I've only been seeing him for a couple of months, and his beliefs have only come up minimally, and Santa Claus was not part of that. I don't think we even mentioned it at all, despite walking around the Walmart with Christmas decorations / holiday stuff on the shelves, and him saying that he wishes that there was more Christian decorations. Adam and his family call Santa Saint Nick to start off with. He has a large family, and we had a lot of regular Christmas Eve activities all day, including cooking breakfast and dinner with his family, sitting around and playing with the children, going to a church event around lunchtime. When we went to church, his mom would shake her head disapprovingly at some references towards Santa Claus the pastor made, and would whisper to his younger brother and her nephew next to her. I didn't hear what she said. When we made dinner, she told me to fix a plate for Saint Nick, and I laughed and said, "Cookies aren't enough." And Adam shot me a horrified look. I felt the gaze of his mother, and she gave me this sort of fake smile and said, "No, hun, that's not a filling meal." So I loaded up about as much as I gave Adam and the men in his family and put it on a plate. His mom put tinfoil over it and put it in the fridge in the garage. At some point, about 2/3 of his family left. The children went to bed after about an hour of it being dark. Adam's mom told them to settle into bed so Saint Nick could have his dinner and start to deliver presents. This gave me the implication that he would start his night here rather than to just stop by and have cookies and leave. I'm not so sure. His mom read a couple passages of the Bible about the family as we sat around their wood burning stove and we discussed my family situation a bit. Adam's dad then told Adam and I, as well as his little sister, to go to the guest house to sleep. It was about 9 p.m. I changed in the bathroom and said my good night to them and was about to walk out the door with Adam when his mom snapped her fingers and said, "Hun, you're forgetting the most important part of Christmas." Adam looked pale for a second before kind of nervously laughing and stepped back the door holding my hand. We went out into the garage to where he grabbed the plate. I said something like, "She's really serious about Santa getting his food, huh?" Trying to lighten the mood. He squeezed my hand hard and said, "Yes, I'd say it's serious." We went back in to microwave the meal, and we awkwardly stood there in front of the microwave watching the plate turn around. I felt his parents gaze on the back of my head. I said something again, I can't even remember what, kind of lighthearted about Santa having a full stomach if he eats like this at every house. Adam gripped my hand harder than he did before, and the first sign of his affection he had given me in front of his parents all night, and said his name is Saint Nicholas and he only eats dinner here. Don't be disrespectful in our home. It sounds calm, all typed out like that, but the way he said it gave me chills. His parents didn't say anything, and I felt like I was going to cry. I left to walk in the backyard to the guest house, and his sister was waiting in the mostly empty living room area there. She said she had started the wood burning stove there, and she showed me where to sleep, a twin bed next to her. And Adam would sleep in the next room over with his younger brother. I just laid down and I heard Adam come in maybe half an hour later and go straight to bed. I've been laying here unable to get to sleep because I'm so anxious, and I already hear movement in the main house at this point, and I don't know what to think. I thought after everyone had left, mostly the small children, the Saint Nick talk would end. I think his family, or at least him, and everyone younger, legitimately believe this is a real person. His parents are really strict and live relatively off-grid and isolated. I barely have service here, so I'll see if this posts, because I can't even text my friends SOS right now. I feel like I'm in a horror movie where they believe Santa is like a distant uncle or something. Does anyone know of any traditions like this? They killed a pig sometime in the last week, as well as a couple of chickens, and the whole family is coming back tomorrow, and maybe it'll be less weird with more people around here. A few of his cousins gave me a more modern vibe rather than the rest of his nuclear family. But I don't know. I might just head back and stay at my apartment a couple hours away alone. I don't think I can continue seeing him. It's been so weird. This is certainly an interesting situation, and yeah, it kind of does sound like the beginning of a horror movie. Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to say, so let's go right into the update. I'm alive, not dead, and the holidays ended horribly, and my relationship is over. Probably for the best now that I've had time away from him, talked to my friends, and read comments. Because I essentially, quote, ruined Christmas. Saint Nick left the food untouched because there was a non-believer in the house, and Adam's mom made a huge point of it being because I was there, and I was essentially barred from ever seeing him and called a degenerate in front of his whole family. I really did not want to make a proper update to this, but felt ridiculous and embarrassed that, number one, it blew up so huge, and number two, everything I said was absolutely picked apart. I get it that it sounded dramatic and whatever. I guess I just write dramatically, but I treated this no different than how I write my diary. I think this is it. I can't imagine typing out a few paragraphs about the worst Christmas I've ever had, completely alone with crazy religious nuts and in my feels, only for it to be called a horror movie in the making. Like, yeah, I know. My life right now just sucks. Wish there was more to say or it was more dramatic for everyone wanting that. but I just don't have it in me. Wish I had a real family and relationships that don't suck. Wish I had answers for you of why his family is so crazy around the holidays and aren't normal people that let their son date girls outside of their borderline Amish lifestyle. I don't know. The end. That's kind of tragic, but I mean, it's like funny that their parents. It kind of does sound like the beginning of a horror movie, you know. But I feel bad now because she didn't seem to like. She's had bad experiences before with her family, so at least she got out of there, and she's alive. So I guess that's good. But that's a pretty crazy story. I did not expect that after the title, which said, "Guy I'm seeing legitimately thinks Santa Claus is real." Yeah, crazy story. So I don't know. On to the next one. All right, this one's called "My girlfriend's brother drove my car without my permission, and I have proof that he did." I've lived with my girlfriend for a few years and have been a great match. Her only weakness is that she will give in to her family's request if they pressure her enough. I restored a car by myself in my early 20s. It's customized to my liking and took me years to build from the ground up. I'm not a huge prick about it as I drive anyone around in it, and I don't get bent out of shape when people touch it. My only rule, which my girlfriend knows, is that I do not like anyone else driving the car. Her brother took a liking to the car immediately after he met me, and he bothered me to let him drive it often. Even her whole family jumps in and says I should let him take it for a spin. Her mom even kept going and said, "What's the harm in just letting him drive it?" I've always laughed it off because they all know I don't lend it out to anyone. I was out of town for the weekend on business and things were going as usual. I flew back into town and went about life. This morning, I noticed my car was posted up in a group that spots vehicles in my city. I saw what I'm convinced is my girlfriend's brother's face through the glass in the parking lot. I know for a fact that it is my car, and sometimes these people hold on to photos before posting them, but I have very short hair, and the man in this picture had 2 inches of hair like my girlfriend's brother. Should I confront them both? I want to do this without causing too much of a fuss because I know it's not a big deal to everyone. I just don't like people I'm not very close with driving my cars. I'm a big car guy, so I kind of understand, but let's see how he handles it. I took the advice given and contacted the guy who posted the picture for details. The info he provided was that this picture was taken when I was away from town and a couple minutes from my house outside of a grocery store. So I printed the picture and information to take home with me. When I got in, I went straight to my girlfriend and told her I'd like to speak to her about something. I put the picture on the table with the conversation I had with the guy who posted it. It took her a second to register with her at first, but then she asked, "Is that my brother?" I told her that I saw this posted in a spotted group and asked when her brother had access to my car. She said she had him over because she was making dinner for her parents and brother the day after I left. We walked through the entire day, and long story short, she went to take a nap and asked her brother to pick up some stuff from the store. She went in the bathroom and he left, then came back with the stuff. By this time, I was on the edge of exploding. It's obvious that her brother took my car to the store for a joyride. At the time, I was angry at them both, to be honest. I didn't know if I wanted to believe her story or just condemn them both. I told her that I needed to cool off for a bit and went outside. She seemed a mix of upset and confused. When I got back inside, she was on the phone with her brother in the other room. I could hear her yelling, "Don't lie." So I walked in and told her to make him come over and I'd like to speak to him. I cooled off a bit by the time he pulled up. I asked him to take a seat and showed him the pictures and conversation. I was about to ask him to explain before my girlfriend jumped in and asked, "Did you take his car to the store when I asked you to pick up some stuff the other day?" He didn't say anything, so I started speaking. I told him that he took my car without my permission after I made it abundantly clear that nobody else should drive it. This is not only disrespectful to me, but it is also dangerous from an insurance standpoint and illegal. He just sat there and said nothing. I told both him and my girlfriend that I will leave it alone this time, but if something like this happens ever again, I'll call the cops. We sat in silence for a whole while until I told him it's time to go. He tried to apologize, but I stopped him and said he should just learn from this and make better decisions. I also reminded him of my promise to call the cops next time and that he was not allowed near my car anymore. He left, and then I turned to my girlfriend and told her that my trust had been breached. I love her and I will give her the benefit of the doubt on this, but to take it as a lesson on being firm with her family. The whole "oh, but their family" and "what's the harm" is not tolerated anymore. She agreed and apologized for the whole thing. I now keep my keys locked away in a place only I know. My girlfriend called her mother and started explaining the whole thing. I cracked a beer and rested easy. All is well at the moment, but I'll keep in mind that this only happens once. It's definitely going to be different around her family, but I think that's a good thing. After that, he goes on to say that he talked with his girlfriend about it and um, her brother apologized, so things are all good. He kind of like settled it with his girlfriend and said, like made things clear. So overall, I mean, the situation, I mean, it's over a car, so I can see why people, might say it's like dramatic, but I kind of get it. So yeah, that's the story. So thank you for listening. Comment down below if you guys have any stories you would like to share with me, Reddit stories or your personal stories, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Thanks for watching.